Let's see, let's make sure everything's good. Maybe heard. Let's see. Oh, good. The volume's good. The volume's good. We got that weird echo. All right, guys. So, Willopenn Drive is almost at 200 views. I am very happy. With Incisor around this time, it was around like 100. It was around 100 views. So the fact that this is at 200, just about at least, I think it's like 175. Stupendous. What up? Yeah, I figured I would give you guys like a little bit of breakdown of Willopenn Drive if you guys wanted. If you guys had any questions, there'll obviously be spoilers. Also, eating dinner. I figured why not? Like in between questions, I can eat some wings I made. Made some wings. Got some ground beef. I'm like hungry. But yeah. Any questions about Willopenn Drive? I don't know if depends if you've seen it or not yet. Actually, the weird thing is, I did notice it's strange because like 25% of my subscribers have seen it. But at least in terms of the views, 25% of the views have been from the like my subscribers, and then 75% have been non-subscribers. So, but yeah, let's see. Oh, got one more. Got one person in. I don't know. My live streams are strange. It's like usually it takes 10 minutes, then we actually finally get like conversations going. So, which I find odd because then I'm just like talk for 2 minutes. I'm like, hey, where's the interaction? That's good. See if you have any questions about Willopenn Drive, like the making of it. I'm here to answer any of your questions. Think of it almost like a director breakdown of sorts. Yeah. Oh, we got two people. Oh, shoot. Saber008. You hack fraud. I know. I'm a hack fraud for giving Q&A about the movie, but at almost 200 views, I was like, yeah, why not? But you missed it, I think. I was saying about how it's kind of crazy. 75% of the views are from non-subscribers. So I'm like, dang. Just about. It's at, let me go back to it. I think it was at 176, 179 now. 179 views, and then that's 16 likes. So it's pretty good. Incisor was at around this time, it was at like 100 views. So, we've pretty much doubled it. The only thing is that with Incisor is that when I looked at the analytics, it's one of those situations when I did the analytics for that movie, it was like a lot higher in terms of my subscribers. So, which is interesting. I just find it very interesting because it's like, I don't know. I just figured that the trailer for this would be a lot more interesting, but at the same time, I didn't reveal really much at all. But doing Lynch style, I'm eating while doing this. We got two people in the chat. That's it. Takes like 20 minutes for people to be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna stop by Chad's, video." Mm-mm-mm. But yeah, dude, I appreciate your help with the movie. You did a great job. I showed Kevin, by the way, the other Kevin, Kevin Cameron today. He really liked it. He could tell you did some of the scenes because he was like, "It looks like a car guy did," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It was Kevin." I mean, it was Austin. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I figured that." Horror guys got stuff together, you know. But he didn't see the rose twist coming. People search YouTube for HBO Max and Willopenn Drive comes up. Success. Yeah, man. That's the goal. HBO is a pretty big thing. I mean, I can't lie. Like as I was telling you yesterday, I like messing around with like thumbnails and everything, like being very clickbaity and very like misleading. And that's like kind of like what I do with like what's it called? Like some of the tags. I'm like, Criterion, you know, this is delicious. Best Criterion Collection. Yeah, dude. Some of the some of the tags I have sometimes is like Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian, porn, just like having fun with it. So like, you know, someone looks up porn on YouTube for some reason, it's like when they have Willopenn Drive come up, it's like, oh, you gotta have fun with it. That's what I look at it as. uh, so you know all those B movies that came out copying the successful blockbusters. Yeah, that was very big, especially in the 50s. Actually, no, that's still pretty big now. You'll usually find it like Walmart. Hmm. Somehow you managed to do it to a Lynch film, first ever. Dude, Lynch was a huge influence for this movie. I wanted people to get Lynch vibes. I wanted, you know, people to kind of be like, "What the heck's going on?" Especially in that first act, which I think was a success. And I've talked to people. Every single person has had a different thing that they've picked up on. You know, there hasn't really been anything that everyone's picked up on. Like nobody really picked up on the fact that at the end of the first act, there's in the first act that there's 10 minutes of no dialogue. And the way it starts, that whole 10-minute sequence is, it's cool, we don't have to talk. And it ends saying it's time to talk. So Joe Mama, can you please say my name? Proud. Anyways, so the big thing with that is that it was to kind of like say, hey, the rest of this is going to be experimental, no dialogue, just focus on the story through visuals. That was my focus for that whole 10-minute scene. I love that build up for that scene. I could watch it on repeat. Well, I have watched it on repeat because I edited it, but Joe Mama is a hack frog. One second. Oh. Or what was I saying? I forget already. I am a messenger of peace. Nice. I'm a messenger of peace too. I got 4 people. Now, you guys might have heard the buzzing. I got a call from one of the cast members just now. So I haven't done this before, so I'm going to call him back because he's like, Todd can't call in for a live Q&A, and I'm like, yeah, that's fair enough. Let's give it a call. This is one of the cast members, guys. Jeff.
Hey, is this Ronnie?
Yeah, man. What'd you do to me?
Let's go.
You're on live stream, man.
What's going on?
Guys, this is Jeff, one of the cast members. He was the one that played Todd. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the movie, get out, you hack frauds. Now, if you're listening, of course, obviously we're going to be discussing spoilers. But, dude, you were telling me your dad had an interpretation for the ending?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked to so many different people that have seen it now, and I think that there's a lot of interpretations, but there's 2 main ones. Am I cool to talk? I know you just mentioned it. Like, is it okay to talk spoilers?
Yeah. Spoilers for all that haven't seen Willopenn Drive, get out now. All right. Yeah, you can talk right now.
So my dad's interpretation, which I really liked, honestly, is that he thought that, when Ronnie's driving away at the end, essentially when he gets warned by Todd, that kind of burst of joy, essentially, like Ronnie's he seems definitely happy. He kind of emotionally smiles for the first time in the movie.
Right.
I took that as he was like, somebody helped me. Somebody, thinks, that I'm worth saving. And then the ending scene was more so him walking into the ocean to cleanse himself of, his past sins. And then he would come out, and live his life and have like a second part, essentially.
Ooh, I like that interpretation. I really do.
So, yeah, I really do like that because my dad's like, argument, he's like, he thinks it makes a lot of sense. And he also thinks that it makes Todd's, death it's not in vain now because he did save Ryan. So that's my dad's interpretation. But then I've also heard, the interpretation that, people say, no, he definitely, killed himself. He couldn't live with himself and etc. So I don't know what's better, what's worse. What's your opinion, director?
Well, as you know, I remember telling you because when we discussed about the film, I immediately already knew the opening and ending scene. I intentionally wanted to make it up for interpretation, but one of the big things is that you are right. I made sure that my character didn't smile at all during the movie, except during specifically that scene. Because you are right, he is kind of like in shock. Not only the fact that he got away and that he has pretty much this ability of being able to then do whatever he wants, but also, as you said, the fact that someone else helped him. He's been alone this entire time. But I just always kind of looked at it as when he got to the beach, he just kind of realized it just kind of sat that there's nobody else around him. He can't even go back. He has no home. He has nobody to really turn to. So he just goes in the ocean and just kind of decides to. I said personally, as the director, that he killed himself, but I intentionally had it where it cut before you officially see him actually go all the way in. So the cleansing that works 100%, as well as the other one, he 100% did kill himself. So I mean, like I said, I wanted it to be up to interpretation, as most of the movie is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think you definitely accomplished that. Yeah, it's really interesting to kind of hear different takes, and a bunch of people that I've talked to that have seen it have, it's definitely sparked a conversation, not just about the ending, but with different, scenes and different things that happen. Asking, why did this person do this, or why did this person do that, and then it was like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? There's a lot of those type of moments.
Yeah,
there really is a lot there.
I had a friend. To be honest, he was like, why? He's like, why did he go to Todd's apartment to tell him it just seems like something really personal. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, the way I edited it specifically was so that you got the idea that he was going house to house. It wasn't just he was going to one house. I edited it so that way he's going sped up, like, really
Yep.
fast, all these houses, and then I stopped at yours, so that way it's like, okay, this means something. Not so that it's like this is the only place he actually goes to. So
Exactly. I thought it
yeah,
was pretty obvious that you knocked on, or Ryan knocked on multiple doors. Like,
yeah,
I thought that
exactly.
message was definitely conveyed. But yeah, you don't. I guess when you first watch it, you might not even pick up that that is Todd's door that gets cut away from him. But on the second watch, you know, oh, okay, that's definitely.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like as I said to you before, like when we were filming it, like one of the big things I wanted is so that way people had different interpretations. People obviously are all different, so they're going to have different interpretations. They're going to pick up on different things. Like I was telling you about how, like, I'm like, I don't think a lot of people are going to realize that the beginning of the first act, well, not the beginning, towards the end of the first act, you have that whole 10-minute scene of no dialogue. And what starts at is it's cool, we don't have to talk, and it ends with it's time to talk.
We don't have to talk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nobody picked up on that. Like at the showing that like you and I went to, as well as like the casting crew, nobody picked up on it. But then today I showed it to my friend, and he picked up on it. I was like, awesome.
That's a good. Yeah, it's a good.
But at the same time, he didn't pick up on the rose twist. So when I told him, his mind was blown. Yeah.
It seems to have been hit or miss with some people that I've. I guess for me, since I knew, that I happen to know that part of the movie. I guess when I saw it for the first time, it definitely clicked because I was waiting for it. But
right,
somebody who didn't know anything was watching. I guess it. But I think that especially when your decision to cut to not only the rose gravestone, but to also cut to a scene of you sitting by yourself on the couch watching TV. When earlier in the movie there was a scene of she was sitting next to you watching TV. When you say there's somebody looking through the blinds, I think that jump cut to you being by yourself on that couch like really solidifies that nobody was there.
right. Well, and not just that. Like when you literally say like who you talking to, and then it cuts to just like blackness, like nobody is there.
That too.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. I think visually, I'm like, I think that kind of hits the nail on the head. It's like, but you are right. I mean, there's going to be some people that just don't pick up on that. The color red. I was surprised that your dad didn't pick up on the oranges. I was genuinely surprised because I'm like, I know you guys love mob films, so I was just very surprised that he didn't pick up on that oranges represent like death is right around the corner, or the color red. I was like, dang. I was like, I mean, I'm more than happy about like the fact that people are different and everything. But you did a great job, man. I'm so glad that you were a part of it.
Thanks. I was really happy to be a part of it. And it was a really fun whole process.
Dude, no, it seriously was. I had actually one of the comments right now, VK Studios, who I talk to quite often. He says, "Hey man, just finished, awesome job, man. I really enjoyed it." So I would say so far it's been a success. Like it seems like audiences really are, at least talking, which is what we want. So,
oh yeah,
awesome job. So,
mm-hmm. Well, it was great checking in, and I'll let you to it then.
Yeah, man, I'll let you go, Todd. Thanks for coming on the live stream.
Of course, bro. Yeah, man. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you.
See ya, bye. All right, so back to the Q&A. So, Epic Zombie Killer. Hey, Chad, how are you doing today? Dude, I'm doing great. Just released a feature-length film, my sophomore debut. It's been getting a lot of, very surprise reactions, which I love. VK Studios, the twist was an eerie surprise. The twist was an eerie surprise. Yeah, dude. That's the thing. I always joked around. I was like, more twist than a pretzel, like for the movie, because I had so many things that I had interwoven and like foreshadowed in like that first act. And I'm like, listen, there's gonna be some people, non-film people, again, non-film people, that first act, they're probably gonna be like, oh, it's boring. But film people are gonna nourish that. They're gonna like really kind of dive into that and understand that there's a lot of strange stuff going on that when you rewatch it, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Or like background detail, which is also important. Sabres 008 open a poll for best shot in the film. Ooh, that would be a good idea. I would be genuinely curious about that because I have noticed everyone's been praising the cinematography, which I'm very happy about, to be honest. As many of you know, I love cinematography, and it was definitely a very different style from Incisor in terms of like the way I shot it. Obviously, I still love handheld. That's one of those things that's probably not going to change. I just love it, man. I think it can work really well. Um, Epic Zombie Killer. Hey, Chad, bro, how do you feel about the PlayStation 5? To be honest, man, I don't play PlayStation. Oh, I don't play video games actually, like at all, unfortunately. VK Studios. There are many twists, but that Rose one was great, dude. Thanks. Yeah, that's what Jeff, who played Todd. That's like he was on the live stream just now. That's what him and I were talking about. There's been some people that haven't picked up on it, but there's some others that have. Um, Again, one of the things is this. When I thought up that idea, I said to myself, look, you do not want to have it where it's like a huge part. You want it to be subtle. You want to have like these subtle touches, and you don't want to make it a big deal when it happens. But that being said, it is a big deal for the character. But in terms of like the film, you don't want it to be where it's like they spend 10 minutes talking about it. You want to just be through the visuals, and then you rewatch it and you pick up on certain things. And you're just kind of like, dang, this guy's alone, like, through all of this. Wow. PK Studios. I also think the insight into Larry's childhood was great. Yeah, man, dude. Thank you. Yeah, dude. Honestly, it makes so much sense. Like, I looked at Larry as someone that at first is kind of like one dimensional. You're like, why is this guy so angry? Like, I get it and everything, but then when you get that like backstory, it's kind of like, holy cow. And truth be told, I'm not going to say who exactly, but that character Larry is based on someone that I do know, like a family member. Like a lot of his anger issues, a lot of his just closed mindedness. I base it off of someone like in my life. Now that being said, I know that there's gonna be a lot of people that do get where he's coming from. But that also being said, a lot of people I know close to me and everything, friends, and just fiance, they don't like him. And I was surprised. Like last night when I had the two premieres, I was honestly very surprised that a lot of people didn't like him. I was like, wow, it's like interesting. Because I thought that they would side with him more so because like of the topic at hand. Um, BK Studios, what insight could you give? Could you give? What insight could you give on your character? He's a bit mysterious in the film. Good question. So I intentionally did that by design. I wanted it to be where my character, he's very serious, doesn't talk that much, so the audience has to fill in the details. But what I will say is that a lot of the details in the film are stuff that are almost like the opposite of me. Like he is someone that moved into the area and he decided to go house to house after getting a notice. He decided to go house to house to let everyone know that he's a sex offender. Now, here's the thing: Megan's Law, which yes, I did my research with everything. Megan's Law is something that, as a sex offender, which by the way, I'm not. Just getting that out there, I am not. It's one of those things where, as a sex offender, you actually have to have it where you're registered. You do not have to go house to house. That is something that if you watch The Big Lebowski, which yes, I did pay homage to a couple times in this movie. If you watch Big Lebowski, that movie came out right before Megan's Law was in place. So my character goes house to house, but he doesn't have to. It's something that he himself, his conscience is like, look, I feel the need to do this. Like, I'm not feeling well. That's why, like, when he's talking to Rose, which obviously is just like in his mind, he's not he's feeling conflicted about doing that. He's feeling that conflict of like having to do that, but at the same time he knows that it's the right thing, so that way everyone's well aware. Because let's face it, most people probably don't look at the sex register system. So I mean, it's just one of those things where he did it for the goodness of his heart. That was honestly something that, and I know it's going to be a trigger warning for people, but I was kind of inspired by Game of Thrones season 8. And by that, I mean Game of Thrones season 8 is very divisive. And you have Jon Snow, someone that a lot of people look at as like, oh, his heritage was kind of pointless. Like, what the heck was the point? And for myself, I'm like, no, it wasn't. His heritage was something that was in fault, something that if he didn't admit to Daenerys that, look, I am essentially the heir to the throne. If he didn't do that, the events of that story would not have unfolded the way they did. It would have been a lot different. And that's what I was inspired by, because I was like, well, what if you have a character that you look at someone like Ronnie, that if he didn't do all this, things would have probably been a lot different. You wouldn't have had like a lot of the events happen, if all of them. So I just look at it like I like the ripple effect. You see one person make a decision, and then it ripples on to the rest of their life. Um, so that was one of the big things that was fascinating to me about the character. I didn't flesh him out a lot with dialogue, but I wanted there to be a lot of interpretation where it's like, was it just one time that he, that at the stuff, was it also the type of situation where no, maybe it was a bit more, maybe he wasn't caught or anything. But I wanted it to be where you look back at certain scenes and you're like, no, I think he is kind of conflicted. Like the scene where, just throwing it out there, when him and Rose, which obviously was in his mind, when he's watching TV, that movie is Little Children. And if you guys have seen Little Children, you guys know that the main character, well, one of them, is a sex offender. And that scene in particular that I was playing, it was having kids, obviously, on screen. You didn't see it and everything because I didn't want to really reveal it that early. But if you've seen the movie Little Children, you'll know that scene in your mind. But my character was, moving uncomfortably and everything, which if you rewatch the movie, you'll notice. First watch, you're not going to notice that. Second watch, you're going to notice that and say, oh, wow, he's moving uncomfortably. So it's just stuff like that that I put in to kind of give that insight of like, well, he seems conflicted about this. He seems like he's trying to almost suppress that urge. It seems like he's trying to be a better person, but it just seems like maybe he's just in bad situations at wrong place, wrong time. That's just how I look at it, at least. Epic Zombie Killer. Hey Chad, are you a fan of The Walking Dead? No. Actually, I stopped season 2, I believe. Yeah, I like other zombie stuff. Um, BK Studios. I remember you saying in a previous live stream that this film would be like American Beauty and Joker. I can see it. Yeah, man. You have character like Arthur Fleck in Joker, who he's a loner. He's someone that you feel like has been wronged by society, but at the same time also has a lot of issues. Biggest thing also, sorry, there's just so many things I packed in this movie. I know that sounds pretentious, but there's so many things I packed in the movie. I forgot to mention this other thing about Ronnie. That scene where you hear like the music, which I think the music's from American Woman in Twin Peaks: The Return. So it's like played backwards. That track when it's like showing the first scene of like the apartment complex, you see a couple things. You see hand sanitizer, represent like obviously it's a pandemic. You see a picture of a kid to represent obviously my character. He's in the kids. You don't realize that obviously at that point. And then you see a container for obviously Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which is both obviously a representation of hey, this movie is going to be taking place over the span of a week, but also that this guy is on medications. So that's also something I forgot to mention. Yeah, and in terms of American Beauty, dude. So VK Studios, the other thing I forgot to mention with that, American Beauty, huge influence. As you know, it's one of my favorite movies. American Beauty, the scene where Todd is on his phone, when he's on his phone, like at the very end, and he gets shot, that scene, I made sure to make essentially a replication of when Lester got killed in American Beauty. Same exact shot and everything. The only difference is that instead of a photo of family, he's looking at a photo on his phone. Obviously, it's modernized because that movie came out 22 years ago. So stuff like that, I just made sure to put on. Let me see, Saber 08, LOL. VK Studios, would you call him a bad person or a person who made a mistake? Good question. As you know, David Fincher is my favorite director. So I look at him as someone that is not necessarily a bad person. I look at him as someone that made a mistake and that even if he's done it multiple times, and I'm not saying it's right. What I'm saying is even if he's done it multiple times, you get to know him. You get to know him as just like everyday person, this average person who's like living a very repetitive life that just so happens to also be getting followed. So I look at him as someone just like he's an everyday person that just is like trying to stop those urges the same way that everyone else is like inherently at times trying to stop other urges. Like you think about it, someone that's trying to lose weight, they're trying to stop those urges of like being hungry for food or like certain things like that. I just found him to be a person that was like morally conflicted because my whole structure of the movie is that the first act you're like what is going on, is he being followed, is he not, and then the second act you have the answers but you also are kind of like oh man he's a sex offender, like holy cow, and then it's kind of recontextualizes everything. So I don't necessarily, to answer a question in short, I don't think he's necessarily a bad person. I just think he's a morally ambiguous kind of person that just so happens to have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Epic Zombie Coast Q&A. Hey, Chad, is writing a movie extremely difficult or just hard, and is it fun? Incisor was fun. Incisor was a lot of fun to write, but I also had to change it. That movie was a lot of fun because it was just friends, like chilling and whatnot. Willopenn Drive, it was very difficult because I don't know if you've seen the movie Epic Zombie Killer, but the movie was very hard in terms of getting it interwoven with the editing and everything. So like that, I was on set and I knew what I wanted and everything, but I didn't storyboard. You know, a lot of people storyboard and everything. I didn't, so I knew what I wanted. So I just needed to make sure the placement and everything wasn't correct, which is kind of difficult, you know, sometimes. But it was difficult, but for me, it's rewarding because I said it before. I said it on my friend's podcast, and I've said it, you know, in other videos. I wanted to make a movie that I would see, and this is a movie that I would see. VK Studios. I noticed your character movement comfortably, but I didn't give it too much thought. Right now, when you go back and you watch that scene, it's like there's two things that you'll notice. One, it's like it's kind of like the movie Drive, which also I paid homage to a lot in this movie. But it's like Drive, where it's like if Drive has the 4 quadrant system, I kind of had it split in half, where it's like if you cut the frame in half, you see my character, and then you see Rose's half. Like if you put like a piece of paper, you'll notice that. And the reason why I had that was so that way you can see that it's like two halves. It's like, you know, obviously the living and the dead, the ghost, obviously. But and then the other half is obviously that my characters are watching something and just feeling very uncomfortable. Just the notion of looking at it. Let me see. VK Studios. Okay, yeah, I can tell your character's kind of messed up. Never mind. Yeah, my character is someone that he think like Ryan Gosling, only God forgives. He's someone that he just doesn't know what to do with his life. He doesn't. And it also goes with American Beauty is that American Beauty is also a movie about someone that doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life and is trying to find his life. That's kind of like Ronnie. Ronnie is someone that's trying to find himself, at the same time trying to figure out what to do about being followed and everything. Because the first act felt a bit mundane until the next 2 acts, then it took a whole new meaning. Yeah, you watch the first act, and there's gonna be some people that think it's slow. There's gonna be some people that are just kind of like, why are we seeing this character in his everyday life? Why? And to be honest, I knew one person who's also in the filmmaking and said that I should cut it into 5 minutes, the first act. And I was like, no, that would defeat the purpose. The purpose of it is that you are supposed to feel you're supposed to feel that mundane and like that whole ripple effect of how each day it progresses onto until that Friday act and that Saturday act where it's like a 10-minute sequence of like just crazy stuff happening. And you know, when you get to the cornfield in the end of the first act, like that's for me, it's like it's that slow buildup, and you don't even realize it's a buildup until you know you go back and you're like, wow, yeah. Um, BK Studios, how did you film the shopping sequence? Um, Let me see. So the shopping sequence, Saber 008, my good friend Austin, was actually the one that filmed it. Um, how did we film it? Well, that was actually a reshoot, and honest to God, I made sure we did it at night. I remember we shot I think 6-7 hours worth of footage like before that. So we had other stuff that we had to film, and then when we got there, it was different because he's the same height as me, so he put the camera all the way up, like really high, and he's the same height as me, so it was very impressive. Like I know I'm jerking him off right now, but it was very impressive because it's like holy cow. I was like, are you sure you're gonna be able to do this, man? Like if you want, we can do it like a different angle and everything. Like I have like another idea, and he was like, no, I can do it. And I was like, okay, let's see how it works. And we had to do it in 2-3 takes. And when I say 2-3 takes, I mean right before we get into the building, because of like obviously shadows and everything. But actually getting into the store, it was just one take. And honestly, it was magical because you have that guy that, to be honest, I thought he was an employer, but I've been to that giant a lot since I filmed it. and I have not seen him there. So I think he was a homeless guy. But if so, I mean, props to him. I should have given him credit in the credits. But it was great, man. I mean, nobody bothered us because it was like so late at night. So it was just brilliant. Like we just had it. I was like, dude, we need a long. I was like, this is a long take. I want the audience to kind of feel that like that dread of like just like what is going on, like why are we seeing this guy, like I felt like if you had done it in like multiple cuts, I just think it kind of would have defeated the purpose. But yeah, just essentially had him go like this and then go like this, obviously when we went to like the tree, and then followed me in. So it was impressive. I gotta say. Saber 008, why do you always get the worst away for filmmaking? I don't know, man. That's a good question because I'm a hack frog. I'm a true hack frog in the best of ways. Oh, excuse me. What was I gonna say? Ooh, I just went on BK Studios. Yes, you give it 4 to 5, dude. I love it. I'll take it. 4 to 5. I will take it. And honestly, I think it'll get better for you with each passing viewing too. There was one person on Letterboxd I saw he gave it a 3 at first, but then he gave it a 3.5, and I was like, he probably gave it a 3.5 because he started thinking about it, especially when I started bringing up like details. I was like, yeah, but I remember I was said it on like the comment. I was like, yeah, dude, but I was like he was asking like certain questions and I answered him. He's like, oh, Saber 008. These guys you talk to probably never made a feature length film. LOL. Yeah, that's true. Some of them haven't. One of them in particular, he hasn't. Um, in terms of like texting wise, but I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of times people just also don't understand that like films an art form. Films an art form where it's like you are able to interpret things differently. That's what's great about it. The best type of movies are ones where it's like it's not like this is how it is. It's more of like you have a group of people that watch a movie and everyone has a different interpretation. If everyone has the same interpretation, life's gonna be boring. It's one of the reasons why everyone's different. It's one of the reasons why everyone's wired differently and has different, things that they go into a movie looking for. Some people might go into a movie and just like want to be entertained and not think about it, and that's fine. But for people that want to have like a little bit more, a movie like this is cool. I think at least. What was I gonna say? Oh, we're at 194 views now for Willopenn Drive. But the question is, I know this isn't about the views, but the question is, will this reach higher than Incisor? Incisors at 500 views. We got 6 people in the chat. Oh, 5 now. Uh-oh. I lost one. Hack fraud. This is great, though. Oh, our hack frauds. Get one of my wings. That's a pretty good one. Dang, I did a good job. Jerk myself off. Just loving this. Hack fraud's gonna ask any questions. There we go. Okay, studios. There we go. Any plans for another feature? Good question. So, in terms of feature length films, no. In terms of short films, 2 of them actually. The first one, I guess I shouldn't say the title, but the first one I'm actually directing with 2 other people. One of them was actually in the live stream. Austin Saber 008, and another friend of mine, Kevin. So we're doing a short film, and I think we're filming like next month, I believe it is. So I'll be getting credit for that. But it's the three of our visions. So in terms of just movie that I'm directing, I'm going to be doing a movie. As of right now, there's a movie that I want to do that I pitch it as the Seventh Seal meets the Last Temptation of Christ. Um, I want to do a movie. I want to do a movie that tackles religion and faith. I want to do a movie that tackles it, and where you as a viewer are well, not you as a viewer, I should say, the person that it's about feels conflicted. Because I feel like so many movies about religion just have it where the characters they are 100% in their faith. They have no questions. They don't question or anything. And I don't know. I just feel like when you get older, like open-minded individuals do kind of question that. So both ones I'm excited about. The feature length movies is just a lot, man. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, this one was like 8 months. BK Studios, be careful, man. Some soft will read you in the comments. As a Christian, I can say from experience. Yeah, dude. Trust me, I've had my experience because I'm a Christian too. Actually, I usually don't talk about that, but I grew up very religious. Um, Saber 008. How did it feel to curse off the first time? And is there a reason you chose to do it in your film? Good question. That's a small detail that only my friends would know. But yeah. When I wrote the monologue for, obviously it's the opening scene, but also linearly, obviously in terms of linear fashion, it's like the end of the movie. But I was just writing it out, and I was just kind of like, this character of Larry is based on someone close to me, and I'm like, if that person was right in front of me, what would I say? And that was just something I was like, yeah, it just felt needed. It felt needed for the art of filmmaking, and I think it worked out. She was your were you emotionally damaged after? No, but I thought it'd be a surprise to a lot of friends, but my other friends didn't even notice. I was surprised. I was like, oh wow. I was like, what the heck, guys? But actually, dude, awesome. I just realized my next two movies are both movies about religion. Technically, very interesting. VK Studios. I don't want to delve into controversial territory, but I've seen some reviews for Silence, and they make no sense. Most religious friends I know like it, though. Um, yeah, no, dude, there's no controversy. I get what you're saying though, because like I feel like religion, especially reviews for religious films, can definitely be interesting to say the least. Movie like Silence, I really dug. Honestly, that is a great example of a movie about faith that I think is amazing. I haven't revisited it. I do need to revisit it, but I feel like the movies that like Pure Flix make are more of the ones that are controversial. If you go to some of my reviews, you will see what I am talking about. Um, there was one reviewer for my Samson review, which is one of the um, highest movies I've gotten in terms of like review. I mean, not reviews. What's it called? Views. Sorry, I'm slow today. That one, there's a lot of comments where I was like, "Holy cow!" Like, this is not good. And then the other one is Unplanned. The movie for Unplanned. I had someone say I should go and abort myself, like go back in time and abort myself, and I was like, I remember I was like, "Oh, you got a DeLorean, like, so I could do that." But yeah, Super was right. Don't worry, I could do the voiceover free next time. Because there's a video game villain who has the name's One Winged Angel. And I saw a post saying that was disrespectful and the gamer designers were portraying angels and bad people. Man, that's crazy. You know, it's crazy world we live in. It really is. Oh, dude, DK Studios. You're the one I want to talk about this. Did you get David Fincher vibes, like in terms of like the cinematography, especially towards the end? Because when I was editing it for the LUT, which is like essentially what you use for like color grading, I specifically titled it like towards the end, like Fincher LUT, because I was like trying to get it as aggressively graded and dark lighting as possible without it obviously being like overbearing. I was inspired by like that and Mr. Robot, which I love Mr. Robot, but I wasn't sure if you picked up on like the Fincher ones. BK series, hey, definitely the end. All right, cool. Yeah, dude, like where Todd is like waking up. That scene, that scene was not that dark, but I made it look that dark, and I personally loved what I did with the shadows. Like I know I'm jerking myself off again, but I just loved with what I did with the shadows. I just felt it gave like an eerie kind of like feel. But oh, that man. You guys see, Sandy was incredibly stylistic. Yeah, man. Yeah, the ending. I was like, there are gonna be people that like when I'm driving off, there are gonna be people that are like, oh, this is like the end of the movie and everything. Like, and then I'm like, no, no, no. There's 2 more minutes left, and the music, you have M83 just like pounding. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, he got away, and then it's like last 2 minutes, like, yeah, but here's the reality of the situation. I think it was important. These ones are pretty good. BK series. I believe Stuckman has said that he's going to make a religious film based on his life, and I'm intrigued. Yeah, dude. Honestly, like, I didn't know you watched Stuckman, but if that's the case, I can say this then. So Stuckman's video on like the way he grew up. I can't lie. I was able to really relate to him uh, about that, which is one of the reasons why. Also, I felt like with Willopenn Drive, I was just getting so much out. I just was letting loose the artistic style of myself because I just felt like it was needed. Um, well, yeah, Stuckman. A lot of the way he was brought up, I was brought up too. Unfortunately, I think I've said it in a couple of videos, but I wasn't able to watch R-rated movies. Like R-rated movies weren't allowed in my household. And obviously as a film buff, that's a huge chunk of movies that you're kind of like not watching. So, among other things, hypocrisy, which Stuckman also mentioned. But I mean, that's one of the other reasons why Larry I found to be a fascinating character, because if you think about it, Larry himself is kind of a hypocrite. Obviously he has that backstory and everything, but at what cost? Yeah, BK Studios. It seems like you're the only one in the chat that has seen the movie, or just wants to have questions. Do you have any other questions? I feel like you have a lot of questions about the first act. So if you have any questions about the first act, I'd be more than happy to answer. Because, like I said, I put a lot of details in the movie, so I was just curious. Hey, we're at 201 views for 201 views for Willopenn Drive. Awesome. That is dope. Any other questions, guys? Come on. I'm sure someone's got questions. Come on. Saber 008. Got to go. All right, cool, man. I got you. You hack fraud. I'm kidding. BK Studios. Honestly, man, I might just rewatch it and get some answers myself from the film on rewatch. That's fine, man. That's totally cool. I mean, dude, I always look forward to your written reviews. I love it. And I know you're friends with Cody on there. I'm surprised Cody hasn't watched it yet. And honestly, I'm curious if he would. I love your written reviews, man. I always keep track of them. I'm just so glad you're a fan of Fincher. I thought that's why one of the reasons why I messaged you and reached out to you. I was like, dude, I was like, yeah, I'll watch this because I was heavily inspired by Fincher. I was like, I think you'll really dig it. Jeffrey's Chad Tarantino, dude. I was helped out by you, man. You're a legend. BK Studios, because I feel like my questions are too specific. That's fine, man. I mean, honestly, I'm sure some of the questions that you might have also might be just ones that are left up for interpretation. But obviously, you might have questions where it's like what I was going for. But now that you understand why I went about the trailer the way I did, and also to piggyback off of what I was saying about being inspired by Fincher, the marketing itself, I was inspired by Fincher. So Seven, as you know, is one of my favorite movies. Seven had it where it was marketed where you didn't know Kevin Spacey was in it. Kevin Spacey was someone that obviously at that time he became famous with The Usual Suspects. So what happened was they had it where he was given credit twice. Fincher was like, "Dude, I'll give you credit twice. Let's just have it where it's not spoiled." And obviously, it worked out for the best. So that was kind of like with Jeff, Marv, and obviously Ryan. The three of them, I gave them credit twice at the end. Jeffrey's theory on why Todd wore gloves. Bro, you and I both know why Todd wore gloves because he's smart. He's smart. I forget if I told you this on set, Jeff, but I specifically knew he had to wear gloves because if he didn't make it to my apartment like before the crime and he had obviously not gloves on, there'd be fingerprints all over the apartment. So, like, if the police came and they saw that obviously Larry killed me, they would look for fingerprints and everything. One of the things I can't emphasize enough is that not Todd, Larry is someone that does wear gloves. He's someone that usually, obviously, doesn't not wear gloves. So that was something I thought was very important, as well as visually just kind of signifies, obviously, the white, the purity. If another thing I forgot to mention in the movie is that black, white, and gray are something that obviously nobody's really picked up on, but those are the three colors that are primary for the three characters. And those three colors are utilized so that way, right then and there, you have it where their mind's at, or their intentions, I should say, as well. VK Studios, it's like if I asked Nolan, is Cobb in a dream or not? Oh, yeah, fair enough. Jeff Freeze, in the case where he didn't get to Ronnie in time, he potentially would be entering a crime scene after the fact. Exactly, man. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's what it is. Todd's not an idiot. Todd is very well intentional. He is someone that throughout the movie feels conflicted. He feels conflicted from his identity to like the situations to the choices that he decides to make and everything. And that's why like when he stands his ground at the end, it's one of those things where it's just kind of like it's satisfying for him. And as an audience member too, you're just kind of like, wow, like he's just he helped someone. He helped someone that was in need, and at the same time, you just have this feeling like, wow, like. But at the same time, what the audience doesn't realize is that, well, Martin's dead, and Todd's soon to be dead too. And that's why when you see the last 2 minutes, it's fitting. BK Studios. Yeah, I feel like Cody would enjoy this. Yeah, I know Cody didn't like Incisor, but this is so different from Incisor. So I'm like, I feel like Cody would like it. Now I don't know if Cody would pick up on all the American Beauty references. I know American Beauty is one of his favorite movies as well. Don't know if he'll pick up on it. I'd be very curious, honestly, if he did. But there's so many references I made. For crying out loud, there were several shots I made sure where the door was red, and red not only was red a very very apparent color in American Beauty, but you also have it where there's that door, the red door for that movie. I love it, man. DK Studios. Cody didn't like Incisor. That's a bit surprising. Well, yeah. So he wrote a comment about how he thought it was boring, and I'm like, yeah, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But then he deleted his comment, and then he said that he appreciated the fact that I made a movie, but he didn't actually rate it or anything on Letterboxd. So I was kind of like, he was probably just being nice. But I feel like with this movie, he genuinely would actually like it and actually rate it on Letterboxd. Which honestly, I'm glad that the reviews have been pretty positive on Letterboxd. I'm sure there's gonna be one person pretty soon that will probably rate it like, oh, 1 out of 5, it doesn't make sense, and I'll be like, oh, screw you. uh, BK Studios. Oh, I remember. Yeah, yeah, man. Honestly, I get it. I get it. Cody's cool though. I do like Cody. I love looking at his comment section. That one guy that like hated the lighthouse, I forget his name, but he was in the comment section for American Beauty. Dude, I can't lie. I was thinking in my mind when he was in the comment section. I was thinking in my mind. I was like, holy cow. I was like, I can't wait for this guy to watch my movie. Like VK Studios. I enjoy Incisor a decent bit. Not gonna lie. Good man. No, I personally enjoy Incisor too. I just knew that the beginning I could have worked on a bit more. Um, I, the big thing with Incisor was that some people. And here's the thing: this is going to be something that everyone's going to say regardless. It happens in movies, but people were like saying about how like I was heavy on exposition, and I do agree. But that's why the last 10 minutes of that movie was so satisfying for myself because I didn't have to have that. I was able to just kind of work through it. I was able to have a bunch of weird stuff that I liked. Um, and I was just kind of like, well, this is the stuff I enjoy. So like, let me carry that over to Willopenn Drive. So I did. So one thing I've noticed from a couple people is that a couple people have said that almost like a hypocritical statement. There's a couple people that have said that they think it should be cut down, but also there should be more character development. I'm kind of like, okay, which is it though? Do you want more character development, or do you want it to be cut down? Or because if you have it both ways, I mean, dude, I don't know what to do for you because character development for this movie is based on you as an audience member. It is not based 100% on dialogue. It's based on visually how you interpret things, and I think that that's important. I think that more filmmakers should go for that. That's just my opinion. BK Studios. All right, man. I gotta go, man. Great movie and streaming. I'll see you later. BK Studios. You're awesome, man. Yeah. On that note, I'll actually end it early. I know it's 59 minutes, but I'll end it there. You guys are the best. Again, those who have seen it, really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Jeff, Austin, thank you for both coming on to the live stream. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best, honestly, and yeah. And if you guys have any further questions, ending the stream now. If you guys have any further questions, comment section down below. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.